Hey, are you looking into automation using n8n, make.com, or Zapier, but don't know which one to use? Well, I've spent over 100 hours in these tools, and I'm going to give you a comparison of each tool and which one you should choose. Now, you should know it's not that simple of just picking one tool. I suggest you use all three depending on the scenario, based on the difficulty of your task, and also the price you're willing to pay. In this tutorial, I'm going to go through each of the tools, how I use it, and how I choose which tool to use for which task. So let's get started. Let's start with Zapier. Of the three tools, my analysis is that Zapier is the easiest to use, but also the most limited in functionality. Now, if you're a complete beginner, I think this is the one for you if you have no programming background at all. It has all these templates you can use. You can connect your email, you can get notifications. So if they already have an existing template, then it is the easiest to get started, because connecting your credentials to your Gmail and your Facebook is really easy and really fast. So you can get started really quickly. On top of the existing templates that it has, it also added these things called agents, AI agents, that you can add AI capabilities to your templates. So if you already have a template here that you can use, you can quickly get started. So let's say I want to do an SEO analysis, I can use this template. All I need to do is type in, all I need to do for this SEO analysis is I type in my website address and it'll call the AI and I'll do an analysis of my website. And so here you can see an SEO analysis of my website. I gave it a score. Zapier is just super easy to use. And here you see that I already have a lot of zaps going. And what do I use it for? Well, it's really simple. So I have a blog, and on my blog, you can enter your email to get a PDF download. But how does this all work? Well, I use two services. One of them is called Opt-in Monster, and the other is SendGrid. So Opt-in Monster displays this little box, and then once the user inputs their email, it needs to send the email to another service. And that's where Zapier comes in. It connects this service to SendGrid, so then when people enter their emails, it goes to my email sending provider. And I have all these apps that does it automatically for me, connecting different services together. And that's what Zapier is good at. But the downside is you're very limited to what is already available. So if you want to do something that is not already a module supported by Zapier, not one of these, then it becomes quite difficult to connect those services. So that's the downside. So I use Zapier when it's a really simple task, just connecting different services. And number two, when the services are already supported by Zapier, then I would choose Zapier. And the third criteria is I don't have to use a lot of it, because Zapier is the most expensive of them all. If I have to run this all the time, I probably won't choose Zapier. Now let's talk about make.com. Make.com again is also really easy to use, but a little bit more sophisticated than Zapier. So here are a lot of the scenarios that I've created. And I use it mainly to generate blog posts and content for my website. Let's go into one of them. As you can see, this is quite a complicated flow. I don't think this is achievable in Zapier without a lot of effort. And it does a lot of things. It basically takes in some keywords, a blog title, and then it sends it to the AI to generate an outline. And then once it takes the outline, it generates sections, and then it creates an image, and then eventually it posts to my WordPress. So it's quite a sophisticated workflow. There are also a lot of templates within make.com. And the difference between make.com and Zapier is that it's much easier to do AI related tasks using make.com. So you see here, you have a open AI module where a Telegram bot sends a message, you send it to AI, and it outputs some output here. So if you have a lot of AI needs, I think make.com would be a great next step up from Zapier. Let's create a new scenario to see how it works. So let's say I want to do something simple. You have to do a trigger, which is, how often do you want to run it? You want to run it when you press a button, or you want it to run every week, every month. And then you can add modules. So let's say I want to do something with Google Sheets. You can do all these operations. You can add a row, and then you connect your Google Sheets to the service, give it authority, and then you can do some AI stuff like, so you can call Open API, you can take the data from the sheets, and you can message an assistant, and you can create a flow like this that is really powerful that can run daily, monthly, whenever you would like. So when do you use Make.com? Well, when Zapier doesn't fit your needs, you move on to Make.com. Make.com has more powerful workflows and AI agent support, so you can create more complicated workflows. But at the same time, connecting credentials is also really easy. So even if you're a beginner, it's still relatively easy to learn how to use this. But if you run a lot of these automations, it can also get quite expensive. If you run a lot of workflows, the cost can also add up on Make.com, but it's still cheaper than Zapier. So if you have a task that can't be handled by Zapier, needs a little bit of AI, then I would choose Make.com. All right, now we're in n8n. Here you can see a lot of my templates that I'm using. Let's go into the blog title improver. Here you see it's very similar to Make.com. It's a no-code AI agent system where you have all these nodes you can connect to do something. Here I have an input of a blog title I have, and then it sends it to OpenAI again, and then it spits out a better output and saves it into a table. So the theory is very similar, and you can add nodes as well, similar fashion as Make.com. You can choose your trigger, and there's a lot of advanced AI things you can do. You can send it to an AI, you can do Google Chat, Google Docs, you can do all sorts of really cool things in it. n8n also has a lot of templates you can use. You can generate keywords, you can automate sales. So there's a lot of templates you can use as well. But I must say that for n8n, there's not as many templates as Zapier or Make.com. n8n is a lot more powerful than Make.com and Zapier, but it also requires a lot of configuration. So when you are connecting to services, it takes a lot longer to connect the credentials, to get it set up. And you'll see there's code in there as well. So you'll need a little bit of programming knowledge to actually get some of these going. And so the technical requirements for n8n are higher, but the trade-off is you get a more powerful workflow that can do more things for you. So I would choose n8n if I have a very complicated task that I need to do that can't be handled by Make.com or Zapier. That's part one. And part two is that n8n's beauty is that it's an open source software. You can self-host this yourself, so you can run unlimited operations. So if you have something that you need to run all the time and you want to save money, money is an important factor, then I would suggest n8n. Now that you've taken a look at all three tools, which one do you choose? Well, it's really important you pick the right one because you spend all this time learning the tool. Once you start creating workflows for each of them, it's really hard later on to switch away. So picking the right tool in the beginning is really important. And the way you pick it is really simple. Two questions you need to ask yourself. How complicated is your workflow? And number two, how much money are you willing to spend? If it's really simple and money is not really important to you and you don't run it all the time, then I would choose Zapier. On the other end, if you have some technical expertise, it's really complicated, and you really want to save money, then a self-hosted option of n8n is the best for you. But if you want the middle ground, Make.com is also a great choice, which is very powerful. Now, the last factor you have to consider is when choosing these platforms, you want to choose a platform that's going to stick around and keep improving. Zapier has been around the longest, and it has 10 million users. So it's the most popular choice, so you can't really go wrong there. Make.com is the second most popular with 3 million users, and n8n has the least amount of users with about 250,000 users. So based on the users, you can see that most people start with Zapier and they kind of graduate upwards. And that's what I did. I started with Zapier, I moved to Make.com, and I went to, so there's no one specific choice that fits all. It really depends on the task that I'm working on. All three companies are doing really well. n8n just raised $60 million US. Make.com raised $200 million, and Zapier is profitable. So all three companies will be around for quite a long time. But if you look at the number of employees, n8n has about 108 employees, Make.com has 365, and Zapier has over 1,000 employees. So I suspect that Zapier will have the most improvement in the feature set. You should factor that in when you're choosing the tool for you as well. I hope this video has been helpful for you in helping you create automations and choosing the right platform for your task. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe, and you can see a more detailed analysis on my blog in the description below.